If you happen to stumble upon this movie before bed, consider yourself lucky. Fans say that after watching this film, their whole soul felt completely healed. This is the must-watch, Mr. Church. She just wanted to get up and grab breakfast, but found a strange black man in her kitchen frying egg. Panicked, she ran to tell her mother, thinking a burglar had broken in, but her mother acted surprisingly calm. Obviously, Mom already knew about Mr. Church's arrival, but Charlie was resistant to it, unwilling to accept this sudden stranger, because Mr. Church's employer was the father who, since she was born, had never once appeared. Years ago, her mother had Charlie out of wedlock, but that man never married her. Now that her father had passed away, he only remembered to arrange for Mr. Church to care for the mother and daughter on his deathbed. But the way Charlie saw it, her life had long stopped needing that absent father, and certainly didn't need a cook showing up out of nowhere. No matter how lavish Mr. Church's breakfast was, she was always dissatisfied. Despite her mother's repeated attempts to persuade her, Charlie refused to budge, even jumping off the table in protest. Charlie held deep resentment toward the person who never fulfilled his duty as a father, so she was determined not to compromise. Even on the way to school, she kept asking when Mr. Church would finally leave. Although this was her father's dying wish, Charlie said some hurtful thing, but her mother didn't blame her. She just reassured her, saying Mr. Church would be gone soon. However, what Charlie didn't know was that Mr. Church had come to their home because her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer and had only 6 months left to live. Mr. Church was tasked with caring for them through those final 6 months. As long as he kept his promise, he would receive a lifetime salary sufficient to keep him financially secure for the rest of his days. Although everything seemed settled, whenever Mr. Church went grocery shopping, Mother would still quietly slip him some coupons. Growing up in a single-parent home, Charlie matured faster than other kids her age. She had a crush on a classmate named Owen. Every time Owen spoke to her, her heart would race uncontrollably. Charlie couldn't help venting to her best friend about the cook who had suddenly appeared in their home, but her friend pointed out that since her mom had to work and take care of her daily needs, having a man to help with the chores wasn't such a bad thing. But Charlie remained adamant. Every day, Charlie took the bus to school, and that's how she met a friend named Larson. Larson had been sentenced for a drunk driving accident and was banned from driving for life, so he had to rely on public transportation. The tragedy happened just a week after he got his license. A 4-year-old child was killed, and Larson served 3 years in prison for it. After his release, his life seemed to fall into an endless abyss, but Charlie knew Larson had a good heart, and the best part of Charlie's day was seeing her mother waiting at the bus stop. Rain or shine, her mother was always there on time. But when Charlie got home, she found that Mr. Church hadn't left. Instead, he had built a bookshelf without asking, insisting she check books out if she wanted to read them, just like a library. Seeing her mother and Mr. Church getting along so well, Charlie angrily turned and stormed to her room. That night, her mother gave her a card. It was a library card handmade by Mr. Church, but Charlie was having none of it. She tore the card to pieces. A child's way of expressing emotion is always so direct and unfiltered, but soon enough, she was won over by Mr. Church's cooking. When her best friend found out, she begged Charlie every day to let her come over for dinner. As for Charlie's earlier rudeness, Mr. Church didn't hold it against her. Instead, he captured those beautiful moments in his sketches. While everyone else was still fast asleep, Mr. Church would already be up working in the kitchen. The mouth-watering aroma of his cooking became Charlie's natural alarm clock. Watching Mr. Church cook became the highlight of her morning. Sometimes, Charlie would hide on the balcony and watch Mr. Church leave for the market. He'd return a while later, arms full of groceries, signaling that another delicious meal was on the way. As time went on, Mr. Church became much more to them than just a hired cook. Sometimes he felt like a loving father or a devoted husband. Charlie grew more curious about this mysterious man. She wanted to know everything about him, but he always maintained a sense of perfectly measured distance. One night, Charlie finally worked up the courage to stop Mr. Church as he was heading out. Seeing the taped-up library card, Mr. Church looked a mix of amused and touched. He knew this was her way of making peace, so he patiently selected the perfect book for her. Under Mr. Church's subtle influence, Charlie grew to love reading. That once crumpled library card was gradually filled with the titles of classic novels. Having had no direction in life before, she began to dream of becoming a writer. Yet, through it all, Charlie still didn't understand why Mr. Church had come to them, nor did she know her mother was terminally ill and running out of time. Time flew by, and just like that, 6 years passed. The once innocent little girl has now blossomed into a beautiful young woman. Her mother, who was given only 6 months to live, had miraculously held on for 6 whole years, and Mr. Church remained right by their side, quietly caring for them all this time. But throughout these years, Charlie remained withdrawn and insecure when Owen asked her to go to the upcoming senior prom. Even though Charlie was thrilled inside, she made up an excuse and turned him down. By this time, Charlie had already received her acceptance letter from Boston University, but with their family saving, they couldn't even afford the tuition. She felt lost facing the future, expecting nothing, just hoping her mother could hang on a little longer. Every day after school, the first thing Charlie did was gently open her mother's bedroom door. As her mother grew weaker, Charlie unconsciously began to distance herself. She just couldn't face the reality of losing the person she loved most. So the daily task of bringing meals was left entirely to Mr. Church. Her mother could barely eat a bite now, listening quietly as Mr. Church told stories, while Charlie stood silently outside the door. However, tonight brought some difficult news. Charlie had to help give her mother a bath. It wasn't a physically hard task, but Charlie was filled with dread. She was afraid to be in the room with her, afraid to face the impending goodbye. When she learned that the boy Charlie liked had invited her to prom, her mother insisted she go. It was a once-in-a-lifetime event, to wear a beautiful dress, put on her best makeup, and dance with the boy she liked. Mom and Dad actually met and fell in love at prom, even though they never ended up married. But seeing her mother in such a frail state, Charlie completely broke down. She knew her mother could leave this world at any moment. She might not even live to see her graduation. The thought of that made everything seem meaningless to Charlie. Charlie felt a deep bitterness inside, even though she knew none of this was her mother's fault. She couldn't help but blame her, blaming her for not being there for the rest of her life. Her mom asked Mr. Church to comfort her, but Charlie was more curious about Mr. Church himself. Where exactly did he live? What did he do in his spare time? What kind of movies or food did he like? From that day on, Charlie started crawling into her mother's bed, greedily soaking up the warmth she'd missed, and with Charlie by her side, her mother's spirits seemed to lift. She worked together with Mr. Church to handmake a beautiful dress for Charlie. She even gave her a family heirloom necklace. Seeing how graceful and grown-up she looked, they couldn't help but shower her with praise. Mr. Church picked up a camera to capture a photo of the happy mother and daughter, but Charlie and her mom insisted that Mr. Church should be in the family photo too. Without them realizing it, he had become an absolutely indispensable part of their family. As luck would have it, when Owen walked in, he was wearing a matching pink suit. It was completely unplanned, but they were absolutely delighted. Charlie and Owen danced the night away at prom, savoring this rare, romantic moment. Meanwhile, back at home, her mother and Mr. Church shared a heartwarming dance of their own. Though they weren't husband and wife, a decade of constant companionship had made Mr. Church the one person Mother trusted and relied on most. When Charlie came home late at night, Mother would still be waiting quietly on the sofa. She wanted to be just like any other mother, waiting for her daughter's safe return. Charlie had naively fantasized that these days could last forever, until one day, she saw Mr. Church frowning, standing by the road with a heavy look. It was then she suddenly realized the inevitable end had finally come. Even though she had long predicted that this day would arrive sooner or later, when she finally had to face it, she still couldn't find a way to accept it calmly. Charlie and Mr. Church together held a funeral for her mother. People act strangely in the face of death. Some talked about how they met her, while others silently offered comfort and care. Only a very few said nothing at all. Through it all, Mr. Church had stayed faithfully by her mother's side, right up until the very last moment. Perhaps for her, death was a merciful release. Yet, in the dead of night, he sat alone in the yard, weeping silently. That was the first time, and the only time, Charlie ever saw Mr. Church cry. Mr. Church handed Charlie an envelope. Inside were the savings that Mr. Church had put aside, along with the money saved from coupons. It was enough to send Charlie to Boston University. Moved, Charlie pulled him into a hug, hoping he would write to her often. Though they shared no blood ties, 10 years of living side by side meant they had long since carved a place for each other in their hearts. To be able to drive her mother's car to school, Charlie asked Larson for help. Although Larson had deep-seated trauma about driving, he was incredibly patient and gentle. Under Larson's careful guidance, Charlie quickly got her driver's license. Even Larson couldn't help but crack a smile. Excited, Charlie took her best friend out for a spin. However, she never would have guessed that the usually straight-laced Mr. Church would appear at the entrance of a bar, decorated with neon girls. In that moment, her curiosity about Mr. Church hit its peak. So, Charlie decided to follow Mr. Church home, wanting to see exactly where he lived, if he was happy, and if he had someone he loved. But as fate would have it, she ran into Owen, who was looking for her. This prevented Charlie from following Mr. Church any further. Ever since her mother passed away, Charlie hadn't spoken a word to Owen. Owen wanted to ask what he had done wrong. In truth, Owen had come specifically to say goodbye that night. He was leaving for college out of town the next morning. Their story hadn't even truly begun before it quietly came to an end. On Charlie's last day before leaving, Mr. Church didn't cook. They went to a diner together, and both instinctively ordered Applejack. After hugging Mr. Church goodbye, Charlie embarked on her journey to college. Life seems to be just like that, a constant cycle of meetings and parting. There are some people you may never get the chance to see again, which is why saying goodbye is so hard. Charlie successfully settled into her college life, but her connection with Mr. Church never broke. Mr. Church wrote letters to Charlie every week, and occasionally sent her books. In the blink of an eye, graduation season arrived. At this pivotal turning point in life, some were busy stepping out into the real world, while others clung to their final days on campus. It is often during this phase, where it's easy to lose oneself, that many choose the wrong path in life. But Charlie chose to return to her hometown. Using the address from Mr. Church's letters, she found his home. Surprise! Mr. Church didn't ask any questions. Just like in the old days, he quietly prepared dinner for Charlie. With nowhere else to go, she hoped she could stay with Mr. Church for a while, until one night, Charlie saw Mr. Church come home drunk, muttering curses under his breath. She went out to look, and saw things scattered on the table, including a matchbook with a bar's name on it. Charlie's heart tightened. She was afraid that the next day, Mr. Church would realize he had exposed himself, and feel embarrassed, so she secretly hid the matchbook. Later, Charlie began to notice that Mr. Church went to that bar every Wednesday and Saturday night. He would always come back completely wasted, spouting all kinds of foul language that he would never normally say. But the next morning, Mr. Church would act like nothing had happened, making breakfast as usual, and Charlie played along too. Every time, she took the matchbook he brought back and quietly hid it, silently guarding his secret and his dignity, until one night, Charlie could no longer contain her curiosity and sneaked into his bedroom. Unexpectedly, Mr. Church suddenly returned. With nowhere to turn, Charlie was forced to wander the street. That night, Mr. Church didn't go to the bar. Instead, he sat alone in his room, smoking until dawn. The next morning, just after Charlie bought breakfast, she accidentally bumped into her old friend, Larson. Time had flown by, but Larson seemed still trapped in the shadows of the past. His clothes were filthy, and he spoke even more timidly than before. Looking at Charlie's baby bump, Larson seemed stunned, but he turned to leave anyway, seeming unwilling to engage much with Charlie. But the very next second, Charlie is knocked down by a rogue skateboard. Larson rushes forward instantly. Seeing Charlie lying helpless on the ground, Larson has no time to think twice. He grabs the keys and bolts for the car, but the moment he starts the engine, Larson hesitates. He's terrified of causing another accident, afraid of the unbearable consequences, but seeing Charlie in such pain gives Larson the courage to start the car with trembling hands. If he can save the two lives before him, then Larson isn't afraid to risk failing again. He floors the gas pedal, as if God himself is helping in the shadows. The road is clear with green lights all the way. Larson arrives at the hospital just in time. Charlie and the baby are both safe and sound. Under Mr. Church's meticulous care, Charlie successfully delivers a lovely baby girl. They name her Isabel. From then on, life seems infused with new vitality. Along with the added responsibility comes endless warmth and joy. Charlie also gradually shelves her dream of being a writer. Time slips quietly by. Izzy grows up day by day, and Larson, once so broken and depressed, finally meets the one true love he'd guard with his life. Perhaps it was all fate, design. Once Larson finally conquers his deep-seated fears and shadows, he too gets his wish, welcoming a beautiful life of his own. Charlie earnestly invites Mr. Church to dance, just like when he danced with Charlie's mother years ago. Swaying gracefully, he unreservedly radiates his gentleness and kindness. Last time I danced like this was prom night. One day, Charlie's best friend comes to visit, constantly flaunting her expensive clothes. She even urged Charlie to go to the big city with her, instead of being stuck with some old black cook for the rest of her life. But Charlie's reply left her friend speechless. A few days later, her friend sent a gift as an apology. Inside, along with a toy Izzy liked, there lay a pair of dazzling diamond earrings and a note filled with sincere apologies. Mr. Church continued his routine, often coming home drunk and swearing a blue streak. But this time, Charlie finally understood the curses he was shouting. It turned out that Mr. Church was cursing his own father. For all these years, he had been living in the shadow his father left behind. Perhaps that was the secret he kept buried deep inside. Just as Charlie was about to put the matchbook away, a strange noise suddenly rang out. Mr. Church had lost his footing and fallen to the floor. It took Charlie a great deal of effort to get the large man into bed. This had never happened before. The next morning, Mr. Church acted like nothing was wrong, cooking breakfast in the kitchen as usual. But awkwardly, Charlie had forgotten to hide the matchbook the night before. For the first time, it was left sitting on the table. Mr. Church turned away in embarrassment, offering no explanation, and Charlie didn't ask. But from that day on, Mr. Church never went to the club again. Instead, he was plagued by a cough that wouldn't stop. Charlie took Mr. Church to the doctor, and to her surprise, surprise, the attending physician was Owen. That night, Charlie dressed up with rare care. Izzy marveled at how lovely her mother looked. Just like back then, Mr. Church hadn't changed inside, but time had left its indelible marks on him. As the two walked down the street, Owen, already an attending physician at his age, had always believed that Charlie would become a brilliant writer, but fate had other plans. Just like her mother before her, Charlie was now struggling forward, raising a child on her own. Then, one morning, the kitchen was missing the familiar figure of Mr. Church. For the first time ever, he had slept in. In that moment, the realization hit Charlie hard. Mr. Church had finally grown old. Now, it was her turn to take care of him. From that day on, Charlie took over making breakfast. Although she had never formally learned, growing up in Mr. Church's kitchen meant she knew the routine by heart. Every step of the process seemed to be ingrained in her very soul. Despite Charlie's best efforts to look after Mr. Church, his body grew weaker by the day. His favorite thing to do was to sit on the swing with Izzy, telling her stories full of magic and wonder. Perhaps knowing his time was short, Mr. Church began personally teaching Charlie piano, and every night, Charlie read to him. As she watched Mr. Church drift into a drowsy sleep, Charlie made to get up and leave, but Mr. Church called her back. Charlie seemed to sense what was coming. She held tight to Mr. Church's hand, as if she could somehow keep him from his fading life. When she woke again, Mr. Church had passed away peacefully, full of warmth and happiness. He followed that ladybug of hope and beauty into the beyond. Charlie held a funeral for Mr. Church. Death makes people behave strangely. Some talked about how they met Mr. Church, while others offered silent comfort. Only a very few said nothing at all. A black gentleman showed up uninvited. He said he was the owner of Jelly's place. It turned out, ever since her mother's 6 months were up, Mr. Church had played piano at the club every night. He had used all of his savings to pay for Charlie's mother's medical bills and their daily expenses. He even saved a large sum for Charlie's tuition, which he continued doing until she left for college. Later, when Charlie returned, heavily pregnant on his doorstep, he went back to playing piano at the bar every Wednesday and Saturday to earn money. While sorting through Mr. Church's belongings, Charlie discovered his sketchbook. It was filled with drawings of the happy moments they shared, along with a letter from Mr. Church. Charlie, who had been drowning in grief, couldn't help but smile through her tears. Though her mother and Mr. Church were gone, their love would remain in her heart forever, a love that would live on and be passed down. One early morning, Charlie was woken by familiar jazz music. It was Mr. Church's favorite kind. For a moment, she felt like he had returned, but when she looked, she saw Izzy making breakfast, just like him. It turns out some souls never truly leave. They become the warmth of a spatula, the notes scribbled in the margins of books, and the sizzle of eggs at 6 a.m. sharp. Charlie finally picked up her pen again, determined to fulfill her childhood dream of writing, and the first story she would tell was about her family and Mr. Church. We often ask what the true meaning of love is, forgetting that the answer was right there in Mr. Church's breakfast. Love is the day-to-day, seemingly ordinary routine. It is the willingness, over long years, to allow each other to be imperfect. It is offering the gentleness of total acceptance when there's nowhere else to turn. When a life was given a 6-month expiration date, the sudden arrival of a stranger became a beam of warm light. He turned a time meant to be brief into 6 years and a lifetime of deep devotion. He silently healed a family of broken souls, using quiet companionship and care to fill the cracks in their lives. They weren't bound by blood, yet through decades of standing side by side, they redefined the very meaning of home. It was a bond that transcended kinship, friendship, and romance, pure and absolute. Healing flows in both directions. Mr. Church, like a silent, luminous moon, used his cooking and his jazz to cast a quiet, steady light into their darkened lives, and in return, they gave him the sense of home he had always craved. The deepest kindness is often found in silent act. The most lasting impact happens quietly, over time, simmering pain into a rich soup, baking loneliness into soft bread, and letting despair, amidst the kitchen's warmth, quietly rise into hope, shining with life's true brilliance.